Hey guys, welcome back to Dark Souls 3. Here we are in Vort's boss room, because today we are going to attempt to fight a boss to get ourselves into an area where we can fight several more optional bosses. And one such optional boss is a boss that we have to defeat in order to get the Moonlight Greatsword. So before we make any more progress in this game, we are going to be trying to get the weapon that I would like to be using for the rest of this game. Also, there is a bonfire in this room that I totally forgot to get. I feel like an idiot. Could have gotten that and saved ourselves a trip here, but I already took the liberty of killing all the enemies here. Oh, except for this guy. Another thing I always love about the Souls games, coming back into an early area with OP equipment and just killing everything in one hit. It's pretty great. Now, there is an enemy up here that we didn't fight the last time we were here, and that's because these blue-draped Lothric Knights are far more difficult than their red counterparts. And had we fought these guys earlier on, I'm certain that he would have one-shot us. A refined gem is basically the polar opposite of a heavy gem. It will give your weapon more dex scaling instead of strength scaling. Now, coming in here, we'll find the old lady again. Now, I told you guys in one of my first few videos in this game that this lady is a liar. Basically, she's telling you that there are no Lords of Cinder here. You have to go out there, find more Lords of Cinder, because they're not here anymore. They all left. She is a liar. Now, ordinarily what you would do in this game is you would find the other three Lords of Cinder, and you would kill them. And after you kill your third Lord of Cinder, you would automatically be teleported into this room, where she would die, and then you would fight another boss, sort of back to back. I believe it is possible to skip this by killing her instead. So that's what we will be doing.
What on earth?
Wow, she can take a lot of hits.
Lord, it must be my dear Prince Lothric.
My dear Prince Lothric. Here we can get her Basin of Vows, and what you want to do with this is approach this statue. This thing is called the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. It is another fairly difficult boss fight, in my opinion. Because her attack pattern is completely random. It was proven in several videos that this boss's attack patterns and the way she attacks you in this fight is always completely random. Her movesets themselves are not random, but the way she uses them is. With all that out of the way, fairly difficult boss fight, but I think we can get through it at this point in the game, now that we are much better equipped. So I will once again mute my mic, and I hope you guys enjoy the boss fight, because the music in this boss fight is pretty nice too. And beating the Dancer of the Boreal Valley will enable you to come up here and taking this ladder up here will take you to one of two places. From the Dancer of the Boreal Valleys boss room, you can either make your way up through Lothric Castle, I keep saying Lothric, I don't know why, or you can go through the Lothric Castle's gardens. And through those gardens, you can fight yourself another optional boss. Several more optional bosses, actually. And each one of them, we are going to be fighting because their souls are very useful for more stuff. I don't know why my character's doing a gesture. So with the Dancer's Soul, you can make Soothing Sunlight, which is really good because it's basically like Great Heal, but it will be cast over a wide area. So if you have like friends that you like to play with, or you have summons that you have to help you during fights, this can be a pretty good miracle spell for that. And then her enchanted swords have pretty good scaling all across the board here. And then, of course, the weapon art, which is also really good. Because that's just like a flurry of attacks that goes on and on and on until you run out of stamina. It's pretty great. But we won't be using any of that for our playthrough. We will simply be using her soul, leveling up a bit, and then going on back. Alright, so with 25 intelligence and faith, I think we'll now start working on... I would like to get a little more vitality, just so we'll be able to equip heavier stuff. And that will also help us later on with equipping slightly better armor. You'll notice I did actually have to take my gloves off because I was fat rolling with the brass armor set. But now with that 1 point in vitality, we are just below 70%. So we'll be able to equip it. We'll be able to equip it again without fat rolling. So yeah, now that the Dancer has been defeated, we can now go into Lothric Castle. But we will not be going towards the next Lord of Cinder here. We will instead be diverting to a few optional bosses. I would like for us to get our Moonlight Greatsword, which I suppose is another thing the level ups in vitality would be useful for. Since the Moonlight Greatsword's probably a pretty heavy weapon. Probably much heavier than this longsword. In any case, coming down through here, you can find another one of these Cathedral Knights. Only they're a lot stronger. As you can see there, took all of my stamina with one shield bash. Kind of resistant to magic, too. Not so resistant to fire. Either that or Chaos Bed Vestiges is just the most overpowered magic spell ever conceived. Now right in here there'll be an elevator. You want to take this down, but you don't want to take it down all the way. What you want to do is drop off the elevator right here. And come into the Consumed King's Garden. Now right down here, reason you want to drop off the elevator here is because you can find another Estus shard there for yourself. Now that we have 10 normal Estus, I might actually use that Estus shard to give us a third Ashen Estus, since it would be nice to be able to start healing more mana. And we can also start getting some more Titanite chunks now, which means we'll be able to upgrade our weapons further. Now down here you'll also notice a bunch of these abyss creatures walking around. Again, these things are very, very weak to fire, and they will be very easily staggered by fire damage. So if you have fire bombs, if you're not necessarily playing as a pyromancer, and you don't have fire bombs, or you have fire bombs, sorry. If you have fire bombs but you're not playing pyromancer, then yeah, you can still stagger them pretty easily with that. Now, walking around in the swamp area, as you can see, will also inflict toxic, so you got to be careful about the build up to that. We don't have any blooming purple moss clumps, so we won't be able to cure it, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to get through this area rather quickly, I think. You'll notice these guys can also buff themselves, and in doing so, they will gain way more defense, as you can see there. I didn't really do much damage with a backstab. That time I did, because his buff wore off. Uh-oh. That abyss monster is coming kind of close to us, so I would like to kill that thing now. Chaos Bed Vestiges should absolutely fuck it up, so let's try that. Yeah. Not even a fair fight. He didn't even have time to react to what I was doing to him. It's pretty great. Now, the optional boss of this area... The optional boss of this area is actually right through that little staircase up there. He is not very far away whatsoever. You can actually just rush past this entire area, ignoring all the status effects, and get to him fairly easily. But we will be looting this stuff here because there are a lot of upgrade materials lying around. And there's also a lot of useful stuff. So I recommend you guys follow along with me here because you don't want to really miss out on these upgrades. Uh-oh. We might be dead here. Never mind. If you're forced into a corner and you have to fight one of these abyss monsters with the toxic effect active, it can be 10 times more challenging than it already is, simply because the damage over time effect with toxic, in combination with fighting an enemy with a hitbox the size of a freaking star, is not very appealing. So yeah, if you have fire spells or fire bombs, obviously those guys can be sort of a pushover. Now before you come up through here and fight this boss, what you want to do is come up over here first. Because if you take this elevator here to this little side area, you can unlock yourself a shortcut to this optional boss. Which is very useful because if you take this shortcut, you will not be inflicted with toxic before you get to the boss room. And fighting this boss with the toxic effect is probably a million times worse than fighting the abyss monsters with a toxic effect. Now this is another one of those rooms you can sort of just run past everything. But we won't really need to be doing that. We still have plenty of healing items here. You will notice this enemy is glowing. Now, this guy up here is buffing the enemies in this area. In addition to buffing the enemies, they can also heal the enemies. So killing these guys first is usually like much more recommended than just letting them live, obviously. But yeah, I would recommend that you kill those guys first, simply because if you give them a chance to buff the enemies, it will be much harder to kill. And if you fight the enemies before fighting them, they could just heal the enemy back to full health. So obviously that is not a very good strategy. Now with all that out of the way, as you can see there, we opened up that door, and that gives us a shortcut back to the elevator. Now, believe it or not, there is another little thing you can do with this elevator that will get you to another item. I'll be showing that too. I usually wait for these guys to shoot a dart at you. If you block the dart, it's a perfect time to punish their attack. Oh god. Okay. That one snuck up on me. Okay, and just like that, we're back at the elevator, and we can go straight to the boss room. But before we do that, once again, I have to recommend you guys drop off the elevator at a certain point here, because there's another item you can get. Right out here. And taking this little staircase down, get yourself a ring. This ring is only really useful for PvP. It is a ring that will make it so the crit damage that you would take from a backstab is instead reverted to like normal damage, so you will not take as much damage from backstabs. But like I said, it is only really useful in PvP, since there are not that many enemy types in this game that will backstab you, unfortunately. Now, oh god. Down here you'll find these two big-ass cathedral knights with the great swords. These are basically the two guys you gotta fight before you get to the boss room. These are the two guys you will be forced to fight before taking on the boss. Uh-oh, I might be dead here. Alright, we got one. Now, it is a good idea to kill both of these guys, because one of these guys will drop a ring that will actually be very useful for us in this boss fight. I don't know what ring we're going to replace for it, though. Alright. Now, I kind of skipped over it there, but when you kill that knight, you will get a magic stone plate ring. This will give you magic defense. I don't know which... I think I would rather get rid of the sage ring for this, because I think I'm going to need the boost in pyromancy damage here. But, yeah. This is the boss fight, right here. The boss in this room will give us the Moonlight Greatsword with his soul. And we will have to fight it, one way or another. I highly recommend you get the magic stone plate before fighting this boss. It is a magic-oriented boss fight. Sorry once again, though, I will be muting my microphone for this boss fight, because it's another one of those really cool boss fights that just has a lot of, like, I don't know, emotion behind it, I guess. It's just very cool. Anyway, enjoy the fight, guys.
slaves. Finally taken notice, have you? Of the power of my beloved Ocelot, child of dragons. Well, I will not give him up, for he is all that I have. Where have you gone? Are you hiding from me? Come out. Come out. Don't be afraid. Now. Show yourself, Ocelot. My dear little Ocelot.
And that was Osiris, the Consumed King. A dragon creature corrupted by the crystal magic that he was studying from Seath the Scaleless, another dragon creature from Dark Souls 1, sort of a callback to him. He pretty much uses Seath's crystal magic teachings, and it drives him insane. And he has like a little baby called Ocelot that's invisible or something, and he has a very like tragic backstory to him. I definitely recommend you guys look up more of like a lore video behind that kind of stuff, because it goes very much more... It goes very much more in-depth than I'm currently going with it, because I don't really know all the information with that sort of stuff. I just know sort of the basic idea of what drove Osiris insane and why he was the way he is. But nevertheless, another very cool boss fight. Completely optional. Does not have to be done. But definitely very cool nonetheless. And now we can finally have 3 Ashen Estus. Also, yeah, my my magic sword was not doing a whole lot of damage for that fight. It is a very magic-oriented boss, so to my own sort of discredit here, I should have known that it wouldn't be very effective.
Do not worry.
We'll at least have enough Titanite chunks now to increase or upgrade our Pyromancy Flame a little more. But now, with the Soul of Osiris, we are finally able to craft one of 2 things. A Moonlight Greatsword, which we are obviously going to be using. But another thing you can get with his soul is White Dragon Breath. It says here, this was a spell that was pretty much taught to him or learned by him via Seath the Scaleless. Another sort of callback to Dark Souls 1, and it is sort of what led to Osiris becoming insane. This is an okay spell. It sort of does the same thing like he was doing in the fight, where it creates like a breath of magic crystals. I believe it inflicts curse as well. But it's okay, I guess. And then you have here the Moonlight Greatsword, which is what we'll obviously be getting. Very good intelligence scaling greatsword weapon. Not so much on the strength scaling. Oh, it seems we actually need 26 intelligence to use this, as well as 11 dexterity. Which is fine, because we only need 1 dexterity level and 1 intelligence level in order to equip this thing. So let's get it.
She knoweth.
Turns out we didn't have to do that much soul farming after all. We'll get ourselves 1 more dex level, 1 more intelligence level, and boom.
Farewell, Ashen Morning.
The only issue I think we're going to have is we may not be able to hold this. Yes. This thing weighs... How much does this thing weigh? I can't... Am I just stupid? I can't see the weight. There it is. 10.5 units of weight versus 3. So, yeah, in order to use this bad boy, we're going to have to unequip some armor. But that's fine. Because even with only these 2 pieces of armor, we're still getting around 20% physical absorption and 30% magic absorption, so we should be fine with this setup. Actually, the 30% magic absorption is coming from this ring, so let's just put the Sage Ring back on. But I digress. Here we have the Moonlight Greatsword. One of the coolest magic scaling melee weapons in this game. It is very powerful. And one of my favorite things about this weapon is its weapon art. So when you two-hand it and you hold L2, you can fire a magic bolt from this weapon. The only issue with using that is it does cost FP. I thought that it also degraded the weapon's durability, but I guess I was wrong about that. So that's nice. You can at least get some extra uses out of it. It's just that it will cost extra mana to use that special little skill of ours. I don't think we'll be using that special skill much, though, since we'll be conserving most of our FP for our magic attacks. I forgot the way our character's faces looked after all this time. We've been wearing a helmet, so we haven't been able to see it. Oh, God, that's so gross. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. It's been another very productive episode, in my opinion. We finally got the sword that I've been trying to get. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I will see you next time, where we will be exploring what lies beyond Osiris's boss room.